Is this thing on? Welcome back to Big Mouth and fancy seeing you here, and you are welcome, my friends, and welcome to my afterlife review. Oh, Ricky Gervais, you have given me new hope, new faith in TV and film. Afterlife is a damn Valentine, and I'm not saying it's a romantic story, but it's a beautiful story. Ricky Gervais hit the headlines years ago with The Office, again doing something extremely different and being Ricky Gervais. What I love about Ricky Gervais is he's not part of the bullshit squad. He's basically saying, look, I'm Ricky Gervais, I'm down to earth, I'm like you, but I'm going to give you something. I can make you laugh, I can make you think about the world. Now, Ricky Gervais goes through this story, walking around pretty much telling us about what's pissing him off in the world. He plays a character called Tony, who's a widower. His wife died of breast cancer. She left him these videos, which he watches via his laptop. They're very emotional, beautiful videos. And what I love about the outlook, someone said to me, do you think that Afterlife is a bit preachy? I do, but get this. I think Afterlife is preachy in a good way. It's not about politics. He's pretty much echoing what he's always said on Twitter. What we know he cares about. He loves animals. He hates cruelty to animals. That's a good thing. That's a good message. He's an atheist. He doesn't believe in God. He slams religion a few times in this. I'm on the fence with religion. I mean, my family are very religious, Greek Orthodox. But I'm neither really a big believer or a non-believer. It's something that's there. I can't prove it or disprove it. But I do accept what Ricky says about religion, because a lot of what he says is damn true. So, yes, and what I love about this is got these pockets of characters. And this is really clever because it fills the story out. So his character, Tony, works with his brother-in-law for the local paper. So you've got these 3 or 4 characters. Now, one of these characters is this woman who's new. She turns up and he's got to train her up. And at first she looks very official, very enthusiastic, someone that may get offended by what Tony is saying. But slowly, Ricky turns this character on her head. And you realise that she loves Tony. She finds him funny. And I mean, at first when he's kind of putting down in a way his overweight friend. She goes, do you mind him doing that? And this guy, and this is beautiful, he says, no, it makes him happy. It takes his mind away from his loss. So the whole mantra of this character, Tony, is that he's decided he wants to kill himself, but he can't do it. And one of his reasons for not being able to do it, because every time his dog comes into the room, he feels bad. He doesn't want to leave the dog. I love that. And his love for animals is there to all to see. So again, I say this again because he's putting loads of things that piss him off. Now, all great storytellers are they kind of put out there what they believe about life. So this guy's in the park. Tony is with his dog. It's off the lead. And this guy is saying, you shouldn't be doing that. The park's for everyone. So Tony puts the dog back on his lead and says, and he says to the dog, what did you say? He's a wanker or whatever he says he is. He puts him down via the dog. Now, I'm not a dog lover. I'm not. I wish them well. I don't want anyone to be cruel to dogs, but I'm not. I'm actually scared of dogs, and I don't like it when they're off the lead. But that's how Ricky sees it, and it's good. It's good that he's putting that across. So that's one of the things, but there's lots of things in here. So Ricky's character is in a pub, and this guy's munching his chops and munching his crisps, and it's annoying him. And that's like my brother. My brother has actually a lot of mental issues, and he doesn't like that. I'm very tolerant, and I can put up with that. I don't do it myself. But so this is just a beautiful story. But the main message here is about being kind, because ultimately, by the end of this story, Ricky's character, Tony, decides that he's not going to be selfish anymore. He's not going to. He believes his superpower is saying and doing whatever he wants and not caring who he hurts. The central aspect of this story for me is the brother-in-law. The brother-in-law, basically the brother-in-law whose sister has died here, let's not forget. But it's all about Tony's grief and not the brother-in-law's grief. And Ricky doesn't really put this within the story. But actually, this is very interesting to me because imagine it, your sister's died and you've committed your life and you're a married man, you've got a son, but you've committed your life to try and kind of help this guy, your brother-in-law, find a way forward after your sister has died. And there's a beautiful scene when he finds out that Tony has threatened a schoolboy, a 10-year-old schoolboy, through the school gates with a hammer when he finds out he's threatened his nephew, George, I think his name is. And it's a great moment, but there's a better moment here. And this is something else that Ricky does. So he's walking past the school, he says hello to his nephew, and this little overweight boy goes, pedo. How many times do we hear people calling older people pedos when they're not? It's actually a bugbear of mine. So he goes up to the gates. He goes, listen, you little C-U-N-T, blah, blah, blah. Even if I was, you'd be the last one I'd be going. You'd be quite safe. This made me absolutely laugh. And this is something else Ricky does, because we are now covered with TV and film that's very careful about how it represents itself. Everyone is so easily offended. And Ricky, in an interview, said a great thing. I am so fed up of watered down content. I don't want to water down my content. If you're offended by what I do, you don't have to watch it. And this is great. And I think he's one of the people who says, you know, if I want to swear, and this is something else he said in an interview, he said people reckon it's basically swearing is a way to get an easy laugh. He goes, stand in the middle of the street, swear and see how many laughs you get. Ricky Gervais comes across as this average, everyday person, but he's highly intelligent. And the points he's making and what he's passionate about and the issues he's trying to represent are actually beautiful. It's not political. It's literally saying, chill out, everyone. Be nice to each other. That is beautiful from Ricky Gervais. Ricky Gervais in Afterlife gives this beautiful story. And as I go back to these pockets of characters he scatters around this story. So he meets this kind of older woman who's lost her husband, who's always at the graveyard when he goes to see his wife, played by the wonderful, is it Penelope Wilton, who played Margaret Jones in Doctor Who. I love this actor. Every character she plays, I just want to give a big hug to. How Ricky got her is amazing. I'm not saying she's A-list or anything, but she's brilliant and she's a class act. And anything, any drama, Great British drama that's worth anything, has always had Penelope Wilton. Sorry, Penelope, if I got your surname wrong, but I love you. I think you're awesome. Great casting. So then you've got David Bradley playing his father, who he goes to visit in a senior citizens home, in a retirement home, because literally the guy's lost his mind. He doesn't know who he is. He doesn't know who his son is. And in the early stages of this story, he doesn't see the point. In a way, he's trying to say, what's the point of this guy? Why don't we... He's not saying it, but he's literally, we should just put him down. So Tony, played by Ricky, fancies the nurse who's looking after his father. This is the love interest of the story, but he's quite resistant to her, and she doesn't like his attitude towards his father, and they have a little argument. She even calls him a C-U-N-T. That word is used a lot. So let me draw you a picture, because I've been so disillusioned with TV and film for many years now, because it's so lifeless. Who's seen Life on Mars? So when you first watch Life on Mars, Sam Tyler is in the present day. He's a cop. Everything's cold and mundane, and everyone's really robotic, including Sam. But when he arrives in 1973, there's a life, there's a love, there's a passion. Everyone's more alive than they've ever been, even though, literally, that's kind of the bridge to the afterlife. And this is how I see Ricky Gervais' Afterlife. When you watch other TV and other films these days, everything's so cold and everyone says the right things. Nobody wants to offend anyone. But Ricky Gervais is in this story. He's giving you a beautiful story, but he's swearing. He's calling someone Four Eyes. So, and I hate using the word PC because I don't like using it, but this is Ricky Gervais saying we should just... This is really kind of like that Clint Eastwood film, which is named after that car, where Clint Eastwood is a really, really racist character. He's living next door to a Vietnamese family, and he's quite kind of racist to them. But then he becomes really friendly with the granddaughter, and they garner this relationship. And what Clint Eastwood is trying to say, these terms, for me, they're not racist terms. They're terms that I grew up with, but we're not allowed to say them anymore. Now, before anyone gets offended, I don't agree with those terms. They're wrong terms. But what Clint is saying in that film, anyway, I'm getting diverted anyway. But basically, what happens in Afterlife is literally this character Tony not being like everyone else you see on TV and film. He's not careful about what he says. So basically, in the office, there's these characters there. There's his overweight friend who just eats, who he grabs his neck all the time because it's got a bit of fat on it. And then you've got his brother-in-law. Then you've got the new girl. But then you've got this character who wears glasses. Tony, Ricky's character, doesn't like her at all. So what happens in the end, through these people, and he actually makes friends with a prostitute. Now, I love this because he actually pays the prostitute to do his washing up, which I think is hilarious, but brilliant. And she goes, is that all you want? But they become friends. And you see what a nice person she is. Again, it's just getting to know people. It's about not putting people in boxes. Ricky's teaching us something here, and it's beautiful. Within this beautiful story, Ricky is teaching us something beautiful. Now, I don't like kind of being preached to in certain ways, especially in political ways, and when it's done in a really kind of horrible manner. But this kind of preachiness is great to me, because the preachy aspect of it is be nice, be kind, sit down, pay people some attention. So this character with glasses, this woman who Tony, aka Ricky Gervais, can't stand, she's obsessed with a comedian. I forgot his name now. Anyway, she's got this empty globe. So he puts her favourite comedian in the globe, and she appreciates. He does something nice for her. Now, he actually does make friends with this guy who delivers the papers for his brother-in-law, who's dumping the papers, he's buying drugs. Ricky starts buying drugs from him and smoking with him. The guy rips him off. But the prostitute is actually friends with this guy, and she explains to him, he's like you, he lost someone, she got him into drugs. And in the end, actually, he dies of an overdose, which is very tragic. And Tony goes to his funeral. So, in closing, and I could be here all day talking about this, Ricky Gervais shows us he has got a massive heart and a beautiful soul, and he puts this within his story. Because when you give me characters that I want to be real and I want to be friends with, the creator of these characters has done something truly remarkable. And with Afterlife, Ricky Gervais has done something remarkable. So by the end of the story, he takes the nurse out for a drink, and Tony's life starts to mend itself, and he's able to move on. It just shows what Ricky Gervais is capable of. I just love his relationship with Netflix. I think it's brilliant. I want to see more of this stuff. I'd rather see this than the stand-up stuff. I actually thought Afterlife was a stand-up show until people started explaining to me that it was actually a comedy drama. There's a lot of funny stuff in this, but basically this is a drama. To me, this is a drama with Ricky using his humour to kind of put his points across. This is a 10 out of 10, I think, 5 or 6 episode drama on Netflix. Go watch it. It's absolutely beautiful. Ricky Gervais, you have given me faith again in TV, storytelling, and creativity, where it's something that we've lost now. People have become so obsessed with the culture war now. They're so obsessed with politics within this industry, we forgot the art of storytelling. And Ricky Gervais in Afterlife has brought it back. And I thank him for that.